Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What's the sound of fear? And he went. And then he said, what's the sound of courage? It's exactly the same sound. The difference is that one person takes action, the other person takes no action.
Warning. This is a public service announcement. This is the Walk-In Victory podcast. Here we have conversations that provides insight on how you can craft and design your future from the inside out. If that's not you, then tune into another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening and or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory walks, when I was in business, our first business, again, you've heard me say this over and over again, was construction. Our own space, it was no elevators, it was on a nice, quiet block, which was still in New York City, but living somewhere quiet was difficult for me. It was dark. We went to bed early, we got up early because construction started early. One of the reasons why he felt that it was important to move me from where I was at is because I would get paid on Fridays and be broke on Saturday. You would have to buy me breakfast. I would hang out all night, and knowing that we had to be in Manhattan by 6 a.m, maybe downstairs, honking the horn. I'm in, and then wouldn't even get myself together till about 12 noon. Really now I'm up and going. We've lost half the day. And, it's like, you should have to have discipline. If you're going to be a business owner, you have to have discipline. Your friends don't have the opportunity that you have. You're not telling you not to have your friends, but you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know what you have to do as responsibility. That was my first time I was really challenged in the area of discipline in personal development. And built a semi-successful company. That we did well. One day, tragedy hits. And tragedy is the fact that you have no systems in place. You have X amount of dollars. Just making money does not breed success. So we thought we were successful because we were making a lot of money. We thought we were successful because we had a lot of contracts. In less than 6 months to a year, we lost everything. The house, the contracts, the money, everything that we had in the bank was gone. So some years later, we still had enough fighting foreclosure. We're going through that process. We had enough for him to send me to school. So I got kicked out of college twice. I went to get an associate's degree at Drake Business School. And there I learned, I'm thinking I was going to learn business, but, really teach you how to do invoices and stuff for a business to help business along. It wasn't giving me like this big business knowledge, but it did give me systems that I can put in place to help us to become more competitive. And things taught me how to type. I had to graduate. I had to type 75 words a minute with 2 mistakes. So, and I told myself, look, these hands, can't type. My fingers too big. You gotta type, right? Learn how to type. Again, it's another personal development, something that I added to my tool belt, right? So we built back. The foreclosing process took a long time, so we was able to stay in the house for some time, knowing that it's coming out when you know they're coming. You know the certain date is coming. You know, so you're like walking on eggshells, trying to stay so you can be ready for when it does happen. If it's going to happen, and just don't really know what tomorrow's going to hold, but you know what tomorrow's going to hold, so to say. And in the midst of this, and I got this, um, uh, I graduated, got this associate's degree. I'm excited. I did something. I completed something. Growing up, where I did was like 2 things. Being on time and completing something. We love to start things, but it's hard to complete. I'm being vulnerable here, and you'll see. So, and I'll bring in our guest after I say this. I knew I was still missing something, and here, the story of, like, all right, I'm making excuses for why we lost everything. It's everybody else's fault. Oh, our partner who took the money. Oh, the contractor tried to jerk us. Oh, this person tried to do this to us. And that was the story. And that was the narrative that I went with. And that was the story that I told myself, because that's what made me feel better. And joined the group. Found out that coaching was possible. My mindset shifted by going to school and completing that. And I knew that I didn't want to work for anybody. But, I'm in my 20s. 19, I started my business. I didn't have to answer to no one. I made my own. I took what I wanted, paid myself what I wanted to pay myself. Right? Nobody told me how much I should make. And I stumbled across some years later, Trump University. And I remember, now we have lost the house, and I have my apartment. He has his space, but we would meet every morning. I was going through a class, and Peter Conti was the teacher. Trump wasn't teaching. Trump never taught a class. And I knew I wasn't going there to get a master's degree. But what I did get, I learned how to do business plans. I learned how to negotiate. I got the experience that I thought that I was going to get in the business school that I spent X amount of dollars on. I got there. I got one-on-one coaching that changed the way that I thought, accelerated my mindset. And here's the thing before I bring in Mike. They was asking me, well, what's your story? One of the classes. Well, what's your story? And I started telling my story. And I just told you the same thing that I told them. But can you imagine? I'm hurt at this time. So I'm writing this motherfucker. And then it said, turn over the page. Turned over the page. And you know what question set me in front of my face, Mike?
No.
What could you have done to prevent it?
It's the right.
You know what? I had no answer. Mike, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so
NaRon.
much for joining.
What a great story. It's amazing how people like yourself who have had many reasons not to succeed have brushed them all apart and just succeeded. And yet so many other people are just blaming everybody. You've just had an election in the US, and there's people blaming all sorts of people all over the show. But in the end, if it's got to be, it's up to me. And that's the message there. And even if you've been in a bad relationship with somebody, you chose that first person in the first place, right? You didn't ask enough questions. You didn't do your due diligence. You didn't listen to your gut. You didn't have your intuition turned on or something like that. I loved listening to your story, and congratulations on working your way through all of that and becoming the person you are.
Yeah, and I would go on to suffer losing everything one more time, and not as if I didn't get the lesson out of the first time, but I did learn something about myself this time, the second time, than I did the first time, and that's what personal development is about. You made a living helping people develop. What is your secret sauce? What are some of the things that you see as you are helping people break free from their limiting potentials or limiting self-talk, break free from the financial insecurities?
Well, I think
What are some of the things that you have seen?
the people that do well have
Can hear you
probably
now.
2 or 3 things people who don't do well generally don't have. One of them is that they have a curiosity. So instead of looking at something as a problem, they at it curiously how they can solve that problem. Second, I think they have an authenticity. And that authenticity means that they're real, they're vulnerable when that happens. They're not scared to reach out to other people. They go inside, they actually go and expand. I have a problem. I've got to find ways to solve this problem. And the third thing is that they take actions. And action creates traction, and traction creates attraction.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The first thing is to take action. Doesn't matter what you do, it's take some action. Doesn't even have to be the right action, because the simple process of that is going to get things moving. And then people are going to see that you're different. People are going to see that you're more unique, etc. And then they're going to be more attracted to you. And people come with solutions. I'm a great believer in you never need to know how to do something, NaRon. You only need to know why you want to do it, because there's always people who know how to do things. And it's a matter of just reaching out and finding them at the right time.
Yeah, like us having this conversation today, right? I get to sit down and have a masterclass with someone who has done it on the highest level. When did you realize that you were like the personal developer horse whisperer?
That's pretty true, actually. I went to Tony Robbins about 20 years ago, and I came out of it going,
Your headphones are going in and out sometimes.
really? Okay, that's weird. Just give me a sec. So
Yeah.
they shouldn't
Yeah.
be, so that's
Yeah.
fine. I went to Tony about 25 years ago, and I really found with Tony that he resonated with some people, but for many people, they saw him as a guru, but he didn't understand their problem. So when you just ask people 2 or 3 questions, it's easy to understand their problem, right? And you just got to listen to them. And then it's always one of about 4 or 5 things. They don't have confidence. They don't know who to ask. They really are not brave enough to move forward. There's probably only those three things, really. And then once you can establish what it is, and it normally comes down to confidence, you've just got to show them where they've been confident in other parts of their life. And when they realize they've done that, maybe they fought against the biggest guy at school, but now they've got to go and ask somebody for money. It's no different, the emotion. You just got to suck it up and do it. There was a great that I worked with for some time, and he said, "What's the sound of fear?" And he went, and then he said, "What's the sound of courage?" It's exactly the same sound. The difference is that one person takes action, the other person takes no action.
So when you at this seminar and you're watching Tony do his thing, and that's 25 years ago, and you're watching him do his thing, was it something that birthed inside of you to say, I think I can do that?
Yeah, in fact, I left my corporate career and I told all my friends that I went to school with, I was going to become New Zealand's Tony Robbins. And I waited for them all to crack up laughing. And they went, "Actually, you'd be good at that." And I went, "Really?" They said, "No, you'd be good at that." And I thought, if they think I'm going to be good at it, then I probably am going to be okay at it. So I gave it a shot. And that was 20-something years ago.
How has your life as a musician impacted your empathy? Because, me too, I have a background in music and stuff. And musicians are kind of, creative. If you're a writer, I was a writer. I started back writing because we just missed it. But, we tap into that creative side, but we're also it comes from having empathy or ear for the people that we see around us, right? Because we draw from our experiences. How has that helped you? How has your musicianship helped you have more empathy for people as you became the Tony Robbins of New Zealand?
I think it's all about harmony, right? So that's not quite in tune. But when you listen to somebody, they're either in harmony or they're not. So if they're not in harmony, then you can have empathy for the fact that they're in harmony. And you can pick that up really quickly from somebody. It's like an edginess, it's surety, it's like a nerd, it's like a look that they have. It's almost a deer in nights type look, right? And you go, this person is not in harmony. Maybe they're a little overweight. Yeah. Maybe they're shaky with their significant other at this time. Maybe they're talking too fast. And you can pick that. And sometimes it's just like that guitar. It takes me like 3 seconds to get that properly in tune. But if that's just knowledge of knowing how to tune it. It's no different with people. You just tune them and get them back in tune. Most people are like a radio station. Like you might be like a rock guy and I might be like a hip hop guy or something like that. And so you're listening to the rock station. That's your station and that's what you're doing. I'm listening to hip hop. That's what I do. But the next person comes along. They want to listen to country and western, but they're slightly out of tune. So their station is, and you can see that almost in their energy, right? So you've just got to fine tune them to bring them back into tune. And that's what it is. It's actually more simple than what people think.
But, and this is not a pushback because I love the harmony thing, but if you're tuning me and I come with all of these buts, hey, but Mike, you just don't understand. Oh, but Mike, no, but oh, but Mike, when is enough? When do you say, all right, you need to go and do this, or we can't work together, or do you say, hey,
sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's just like your college football coach, right? He might have had just 3 premierships in a row, and everybody says he's fantastic, and then you go and work with him, and you go, he's a complete tosser, and I don't like that. So sometimes there's just synergy. Sometimes there's not a harmony between the person who needs coaching and the person who wants to be their coach. And it's up to the coach to identify that pretty quickly. But I think another way of answering your question is I'll listen to that and I'll go, thanks for sharing that, NaRon. Do you realize in the last 5 minutes you said, but you don't realize 7 times? How many other times in your life are you saying that to other people or to yourself? And I'll give you a good example. Like my wife and I live in Cape Town, South Africa, and we love living here. It's a great city. But we were doing business in Durban, which is another city in South Africa. Durban has a lot of Indian people there. So there's a lot of families that came from India 100 years ago, and they settled and, bred. And so a lot of the population is Indian descent. And this guy was in one of my workshops once, and he kept saying to me, but Mike, you don't understand people. And he kept saying that. Now, here's the funny thing. He's been to India, but I've been 22 times to India, right? So I understand Indian people better than he does, but maybe I don't understand Indian people born in Durban as well as he does. But I just kept saying, I want you, the next time you disagree with something that we're saying here, I want you to tell us what it is without putting the sentence in, but you don't understand Indian people. Do you think you can do that? He goes, yeah, of course. So we keep talking. 10 minutes later, he goes, listen, you don't understand Indian people. I said, you're not allowed to say that. And he goes, what? And I said, you just said you don't understand Indian people. And he went, oh, again, he couldn't say a thing without saying that somewhere in the sentence. So he realized by the end of the next hour and a half that we were in that event together, that he actually had a record that he kept playing to himself. Goodness knows where the imprint had come from, possibly from his parents or grandparents or somebody at school or a teacher or something like that, had been with him his whole life. So his default thing when he was processing was to push back and say, you don't understand Indian people. Fascinating,
and
right?
we all have we all have these defaults. What we call, I do mindfulness with these loops, and the person in the loop, me, when dealing with Willie Bates, in my loop, getting paid, spending my money, waking up, rehearsing that over and over again, right? Him on the outside looking in, he's like, the only way to break this cycle is I have to bring him out of the habitat.
Exactly. I had this lady that I worked with 15 years ago. She was great, a wonderful lady, amazing, but she'd fall upon hard times at the time that I took her on. I knew her before that. And one of the first few emails she sent to me, I sent it back to her with every time she used the word need in it, highlighted.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And I wrote at the top, you're sounding very neat. And that's all I wrote back to her. And there was like 16 or 17 needs in there. And she came back, she said, "Oh my goodness, I had no idea I was this needy." She said, and I said, "This is what's creating your reality at the moment, right?" So sometimes
When we
it's
talk
just a
about
flick of
creating
the
our,
switch.
yeah, so that's what I was about to say. When we talk about creating reality, and our slogan is we help build people from the inside out, right? Most people think that their problem is external. Talk about that, the shift in mindset from, and what type of conversations that you have centered around there, or examples of tools.
I think the first thing is that we believe there's 4 things that impact somebody from a mindset point of view. One of them is imprints. One of the imprints that I got as a child is my mother told me all salespeople are criminals, stay away from them. That stuck with me until I went, hang on, if I want to get anywhere in life, I've got to sell something. I've got to sell myself. If I want to get married, I've got to sell myself. If I want to get a job, I've got to sell myself. So it's an imprint is something that's not true that somebody else has told you. The next one is a blind spot. That's something that's really weird. You go, why doesn't anybody buy from me? But every time you go to a meeting and pitching is like this and scratching yourself and everything, and you just turn people off. That's a blind spot, right? You don't even know you're doing it. This is an undercurrent in Finding Nemo, right? The water looks all pleasant on the top, but underneath is this current and the sharks in there and all sorts of stuff. That's like what's going on inside a person, even though they're showing up and they're all pretty. And the last one is a tunnel. That's the way in which they see the world. And like you've seen that in the US in the last few weeks, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. It's my way of seeing the world. And the rest of us get to watch all these hilarious videos about Democrats bullying Republicans and Republicans bullying Democrats, right? That's what we see. It's the tunnel. The first thing is to identify what's going on inside a person. Is it an imprint? Is it a blind spot? Is it an undercurrent? And is it a tunnel? Strangely enough, the most difficult ones to change for people are undercurrents, because that's when people are putting on a front, but they're not sharing the authentic thing that's going on inside. They act all happy family, but really they hate their wife, right? And they're thinking of having an affair. It's that sort of thing that's going on. And I think you asked for an example of that. An example in business is we had a client of ours, mention his name. He was originally from Holland and he ran a search engine optimization company. And he showed me his business plan when he first became a client and told me what he wanted to do. And I looked at it and I thought, it's really good. But here was a guy who just couldn't hang on to staff and was never home. And it all came down to an imprint. His Dutch father had told him, you've got to work hard to get anywhere and nobody can do anything as well as you can. So he's working 100 hours a week and he's taking all the jobs off all of his staff and doing them. So no staff were lasting any longer than 3 months. So we were able to keep showing him where that imprint was showing up for him in his life. And it took literally about 6 weeks and his mind went flick and it shifted. 2 years later, he was doing 300% income on what his business was doing when we took him on. 2 years after that, he was able to sell that business to the biggest SEO company in the world and retired at 42 years old.
When you talk about, and I noticed that you break everything into numbers, like you've been doing it for so long, you systematize everything and you can see that, which is a great skill.
Stop looking at my
How
soul,
long did
NaRon.
it take you to yeah. How long did it take you to develop that? Because it's a cadence. It's a rhythm, right? So you're in the room, you're talking, but you're exchanging. And what people don't understand is that exchange of energy is comes with information, right? It's not just we're having a great conversation or what people call a vibe. Like you're out of town and you're sitting at a bar and you sit next to someone and then you're like, oh man, we have a vibe. And I don't talk like this with my wife at home. She don't understand. No, that's not what's going on. It's just exchange of energy and you're getting a signal that may not be there, or it may be there, but it may not be healthy, right? But how do you deal with the magic of public speaking and getting that exchange and and downloading and commuting that information. And sometimes even having to hold on to it because I can't let you know all right now because it'll blow your mind. How does that work for you?
I think that's the biggest one, is the last one you said. Sometimes you reveal everything else, because just to pick up on that, the only reason that universities have a 4-year-long degree is so that they can charge you. Most of us, when we went to that university, we use about 10% of what we learnt. And it's the same with business and life too. Sometimes I'll look at a client, tell me a story, and in my mind I'll go, they just need to do that. But if I tell them that, they're not going to believe it. So I actually have to take them through some pain, like 3 to 6 months before they go, oh, that's going to be real. That's the way forward. So I think that's a big one. Coming to what you asked, stages and that, like, I'm an ex-musician, so I just moved from one stage to stage. The good thing about being a speaker is you don't have to stay up till mid-drink all the time, right? So you can go to bed early, but you still get to the world and you still have fans. So it's a lovely experience and you still get to change people's lives. I think really for me, that comes down to, and I think what behind the question, please ask it again if I told this. For me, it's about every one of us has skills, right? I failed maths at school, but I'm actually really good at, I can do percentages and everything in my head. I can add up numbers. I can look at a business and know a profit and loss statement, but ask me to do trigonometry or whatever, who cares? I don't care. I'm good at maths. I'm a pretty good communicator, but I'm a better listener and I'm a better question asker. And I think the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your questions. So you've got to, it doesn't matter whether you're a coach or a business owner who wants to build a business or somebody who just wants to help their community. I think for me, the answer to the question that you asked is you use the 3 or 4 skills that you know that you're great at. Very few people can match you on. And for me, it's finding the nut behind things. And I've got a good memory for it. I can remember phone numbers and registration plates and things like that, able to since a kid. I remember statistics. 72.8% of statistics, NaRon, are made up on the spot. But I don't make them up, right? It doesn't like, you can use that one. And the other thing is you've just got to be you, right? So I'm slightly irreverent and I like to have fun. I like to have a few laughs like we're having and things like that and throw it around. I like things being thrown around. So sometimes with somebody, I'll ask them the most strangest questions. And I remember my wife asked somebody who came to us for a job interview. She said, most people can study the questions like, tell us about your last job and what do you do better than other people? She asked the person where their dragon button existed. Where's your dragon? Point to it. And the bull, that's great. But through asking a few irreverent questions, sometimes you really understand the person and then you tone in from the dragon question to, so tell me the top 3 reasons why you don't think you're living the life that you want to at the moment. So a bit of psychology as well. So psychology, bit of music. All businesses revolve around music. A business is a musical instrument. It has a rhythm, it has a tempo, it has a volume, it has a harmony, it has a melody. So does the life.
You've built a number of businesses. What is the thing that when you see that, all right, I'm going to start something new, I'm going to go into a different industry, I'm going to take on a different market. What's playing in the background? Are you listening to Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On? Or are you listening to Led Zeppelin? Like what's going on there when you know that this is the market, this is the new business, and I'm going all in.
That's a great question. We just use our intuition. We just use our intuition, nothing more. You got me? So if we start a new business, we don't do a plan. We really look at what is it that the customer really wants, and do we really want to be that? Is it going to be learn things? Is it going to be simple? Will it motivate us? Once we've got those things, then we'll say, pilot it. So let's do something small, see if it works. And if it does, go for it. And we make in Romania, China, America, Australia, we don't care. Wherever we think it will be the best, that's where we'll start.
So when we say motivation, and this is my next to last question, you've gotten to the place where money is not a motivator, where most people starting a business, money is the motivating factor. And that everything is driven by sin. I was like, we're going to make money. I grew up poor. I want more money. And then get to the place where success, and when money is no longer the motivator, they lose motivation. What makes Mike motivated?
I believe, NaRon, that every human being has a lot more potential inside them than they use. And I saw that in my corporate life. 10 years I was in, and I couldn't stand it. It was the number one reason I left, is that I saw all these people with massive potential who just didn't want to deliver it because all they wanted to get was their bonus check and maybe, a raise or something else, right? So when I came out of corporate, I just became about finding that potential in people and getting them to create impact with it. And that's the thing that still today gets me out of bed in the morning, and still today has me want to be on your podcast and everything like that. It never changes for me. And I think if I can do that, I make the world a better place, and that makes me feel good.
Last question. What books have impacted you over the course of your life? It could be fiction and nonfiction. That if you were sitting down with someone and you said, hey, man, I think you should read this book, it'll move you along in life.
Okay, the Elka Palo, amazing book. And I think that would be my number one. And the Celestine Prophecy, James Redfield, would be my number two. So there's two in nonfiction. And one's they're both very deeply spiritual books. And in the fiction area, Lord of the Rings. It's the only book I've read twice. And it's a big book to read twice. Mind you, I did read it when I was about 15 the first time, but I read it when I was about 40 the second time. And it truly is a fantastic, see how amazing human mind is. J.R. Tolkien, who created that, created languages, created entities that have been copied by 1 million people since in one or other. J.K. Rowling would be a good example. And just to see the scope of the interweaving of time and storyline and character development, things like that, I think it's an incredible feat of human imagination.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Not only do we sit you at the feet of the masters, we do so that we can help build you from the inside out. We want you to grow and personally develop. These conversations are great, but we don't want to be the tree that falls down in the midst of the wilderness and nobody hears it. So we need you to hit like, subscribe, and share if this is your first time listening. If you're listening on a platform where you can leave a review, leave that for a 5-star review, not 4-star, 5-star review. Or you can go to our website, walkinvictory.me. On the website, you will also have a landing page of this interview with Mike's information. Go follow him on all of his social handles. Go make that clarity call. Go and go on the website and see all of the offerings that he has done. You will appreciate me later. You can write me a note, info@walkinvictory.me, and let me know that, NaRon, thank you. Mike was really, really well worth it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't walk making excuses. Don't walk with your head down. We walk in victory, and Mike now is a part of the Walk in Victory family. Peace.
Ciao, everyone.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.